In 1986, our tribal and Alaskan housing authorities faced an uncertainty of not being able to obtain insurance coverage from private sector insurance companies. This crisis became imminent and warranted immediate action. HUD's Office of Indian Housing conceptualized the idea of self-funded risk pools to the attention of the National American Indian Housing Council. The Council, after collaboration with several committed officials, established what is known today as Amerind.
In 1986, at a quarterly National American Indian Housing Council meeting in San Diego, California, the idea of developing a self-funded insurance pool utilizing tribal self-determination and the opportunities under the National Risk Retention Act was decided by the board that it was something that should be pursued. So there was quite a bit of discussion, and Chairman Chico appointed a 5-member committee, which included himself as chairman, Virginia Spencer, who was the executive director of the National American Indian Housing Council at the time, George Gosvig, who was the director at Red Lake, Minnesota, myself, and Sid Whitecrow, who was the director at that time of the Housing Authority in Oklahoma, Seneca Cayuga, I believe. That group met over that summer several times. We did an RFP to find a company that could work with us, and we eventually selected the Arthur J. Gallagher Company out of the Chicago, Illinois area as technical assistants, and they were able to work with us and develop some numbers that showed that it was very realistic for us to try to do the self-funded pool. Keep in mind that not a lot of information existed at that time of the losses that the housing authorities had experienced. But we knew that even if we weren't exactly right on the numbers, that we could do trainings, we could let people know that, hey, this is your company, let's try to keep fires down, let's educate our kids. We came up with the idea of having, the calendar, for example, would get kids involved in fire safety, but also to better explain fire safety to the housing authorities. When we were covered by a company that wasn't from Indian country, we never met any officials. If we had a claim, we submitted it through a regional claims adjuster. We never saw a face or any explanation of the policy benefits or anything. The idea of Amerind was, even if it cost the same, that we would be owned by the tribes themselves, and we would be able to adjust costs. If we had a bad year, we'd charge a little more premium. If we had a good year, we'd lower the cost for all the tribes that were participating. Luckily, the concept worked very well, and ultimately we were able to save initially about 50% what the lowest commercial bid was. And right around the fall of 1986, we sent out, under the HUD's authority, an invoice to all the 141 housing authorities that were recognized by HUD at that time. And 2 weeks later, we had $14 million in the Amerind Treasury.
On October 31st, 1986, Amerind was officially incorporated by the Board of Directors of the National American Indian Housing Council as a nonprofit corporation under the laws of the Red Lake Band of Chippewa, and was headquartered in Washington, D.C. In the 1990s, Amerind began expanding additional services to Indian country. It is in this era that Amerind restructured, creating various departments, and in 1995 relocated its offices to Albuquerque, New Mexico, with the goal of being more accessible to their members. Within the last decade, Amerind, in keeping with its vision of protecting tribal nations, began incorporating more products and services. Amerind restructured its Amerind Financial Services Incorporated into what is now known as Amerind Individual Programs. These programs provide coverage for tribal homeowners in both individual and group protection programs. In 2001, Amerind created the Community Outreach Program as a way of giving back to the Native American community. Amerind provides funding for public service projects, charitable giving, and educational scholarships, in addition to employee volunteer activities. Amerind supports many different Native American organizations in Indian country and has contributed approximately $434,000. In providing for the needs of tribes and their enterprises, Amerind successfully launched the Tribal Employee Injury Protection Program, an affordable alternative to workmen's compensation. Amerind has always risen to the support of other organizations in their vision of providing for Native American families. Their success has allowed them to contribute resources to a very important organization, the National American Indian Housing Council, which helped found Amerind. Amerind has contributed more than $1 million to NAIHC.
This organization has proved to be a very wise investment on behalf of the Indian people to be a prime example on how a tribally run organization in a business environment should be run. And I'd like to commend Amerind for the fine efforts they have made, not only the leadership but the staff of the organization.
With a critical need for training in the area of loss prevention, Amerind established the Spring Institute in the year 2000. The Spring Institute offers participants the opportunity for professional and personal development. It provides training specific to loss prevention and protection to the housing industry of Indian country. Amerind continues to be committed to prevention measures with an ultimate outcome of sustaining protection and safe housing environments. Amerind conducts annual meetings with national participation, attracting the attendance of approximately 500 tribal representatives, coordinating a membership of 279 tribally designated housing entities, and it provides services to approximately 450 federally recognized tribes.
At this point in time, Amerind's goal and the goal of the Board of Directors is to provide additional coverages that will enhance the protection of not only of our tribal members, but also the properties and casualties that we do have. We'll continue on, and as new leadership comes on board in the future, they'll continue on with the goal in preserving our heritage. And so we're now exploring a new frontier in which we'll be able to expand our services to Indian country.
I think Amerind has certainly scratched the surface and maybe gone a little bit deep, but there's so much more to do. And if Indians will continue to support Indians, as it were, then the potential for growth for Amerind is several times more over than where they are today.
What I would tell the tribe is that from a business side or business sense, that Amerind should be considered. Amerind can save them money. Amerind can produce and has a product that's viable, that's real, and dependable. And I think those are the things that are important to tribes because they're a business. But again, we have that one extra thing that we can offer tribes. We're native. We're native owned. We're everything we talk about. I keep going back to it, but we're everything we talk about. Taking care of ourselves, doing our own thing. You just can't go around saying that. You got to practice it. You know what I mean? And that's what I would hit with.
Tribes, you need to listen and support your own businesses. And this is a wonderful corporation with great roots and beginnings. It's been here 20 years. And I think the investment of your needs can match the coverages that Amerind can serve. And I don't see why you wouldn't not do this. And you might have to do a little research to find out more instead of relying on the commercial market that you've been in. And I know that's hard to make that change sometimes, but the potential here for a long-term successful commercial enterprise owned by Indians, built a building on Indian land, we need to support that, and you need to support that and be there together. That's community building, and that's how you're going to sustain things and make it happen.
It's common knowledge that dollars that are kept in a community turn over many, many times. And the best way to allow for dollars to be kept in a community is to have the entity that is being utilized in the community familiar with that community, and that is Amerind. It is not the other major insurance companies. Therefore, if Amerind comes to your rescue on an insurance claim and you utilize Amerind, Amerind utilizes Native American claims adjusters, Native American agents, and Native American suppliers, uses Indian preference. It's going to benefit all of Indian country very similar to when we incorporated Amerind at Red Lake in '86. We did it, and the questions that I got when I made the presentation were, the major question was, who's going to profit from this? And I says, it's going to be a nonprofit, no one's going to profit. You are doing this, you are allowing Amerind to be incorporated at Red Lake for the benefit of all of Indian country. And that message should be sent out to all tribal leaders, all housing leaders, that this was done for and by Indians, for Indians, to better Indian country. And therefore it should be supported by all tribes.
Amerind's mission is to provide affordable and sustainable risk management services that are culturally sensitive and flexible in fulfilling our purpose, champion safe and secure living and working conditions in Indian communities, and contribute to tribal economic development. The past 2 decades since Amerind's inception have seen positive changes for Indian country. Amerind has been a significant part of that history and has grown to become a leader and advocate for protection and prevention of losses in Indian country. With a membership representing more than 450 tribes, it has created a legacy of leadership in protecting tribal investments throughout Indian country. Amerind provides protection for over $7.5 billion in tribal assets for tribal nations and Alaskan communities.
The members of Amerind Risk Management are involved in an impressive, unique enterprise in Indian country. Many tribes with diverse interests make it both unique and great because under the Amerind banner, they have united to pool their resources. Together, they have created affordable and culturally sensitive risk management products that are the best for Indian country. It's great because it is Indian-owned, controlled by its member tribes. It's great because it is committed to creating solutions that are in the best interests of Indian country. Amerind products protect continued federal funding for housing and provides funds to replace homes destroyed by fire, wind, and other unforeseen disasters. Amerind products have kept $100 million in Indian country that would otherwise leave Indian country through non-Indian insurance companies. We know the concept is great because it seeks to prevent crippling injuries and death by removing the causes of home and work accidents. It is great because it brings relief of pain and sorrow and fear and loss. Amerind is great because it works to preserve and protect Indian tribes, enterprises, people, property, sovereignty, culture, and ancient ways of life. Its true greatness will be measured by our power to help Indian people live safer, more secure lives now and for generations to come.